The ears of corn in Indiana have heard whispers of something strange, an event so haunting it has to break free from the confines of its field to the city of South Bend. Blood in the Cornfields and Crude Cinema present Cult of Blood! Join us for the first ever Midwest screening of Cult of Blood by director and writer Robbie Lopez, starring Felisa Rose of Sleepaway Camp, Michael St. Michael from The Greasy Strangler, and Mikael Matson from Born to Raise Hell. A special performance by the legendary South Bend punk band Leatherface will be your introduction to the initiation of the century, followed by a hell-raising short film by David Boyer, Nap Time, Dearie, and a showcase of trailers for Tim Wolak's latest films Beware of Clowns and Princess Spooky. Mark your calendars, cellar dwellers, for Friday, September 27th at Lang Lab in South Bend, Indiana. The doors to hell open at 7 p.m., but the show of a lifetime begins at 8 p.m. sharp. With your horror hosts, Marc and Ivy, to welcome you. Don't miss your chance to be initiated into the Cult of Blood!
All right, welcome in, cellar dwellers.
Hey, y'all.
We're back. Another episode. We're still here. We're still around.
Yeah, we got a lot of shit to throw your way.
Yes.
This week's episode is going to be amazing. And also, it's kind of a tie-in to something we have coming up that you all better show up to.
Yes, you better. I mean, you're just not cool if you don't. I mean,
anybody who's anybody in the horror community is going.
Absolutely.
You don't want to be left out.
No, I mean, come on, stop being a hermit. Get off your couch.
We understand that you're cellar dwellers, and that's okay. This is for cellar dwellers by cellar dwellers.
Yes, it's the community. It's the cellar dweller community.
Exactly. So we have our event on September 27th.
Yes. Excited about this one, of course. Got a bunch of different things for that date. We have a couple shorts, we have a short film. We have some previews.
Yep.
We have a band. So I was going to say, you go ahead and kind of introduce it.
So we have the band playing is Leatherface, our good friends.
Yes.
And they'll more than likely be playing first, so you don't want to miss it. And then after that, we'll have some coming attractions. Our friend Tim Wallach, who is going to show off his films and the newest film that he released, Princess Spooky.
Yep.
So hopefully, you guys can be enticed to check out his stuff because he is an amazing director and writer.
Absolutely.
And then we also have a screening that was shown at the Goshen Film Festival recently. Nap Time, Dearie by David Boyer. He was there as well. So definitely come check that out. It was a good time. It was a lot of fun to see on the big screen.
I bet.
So yeah, definitely we want to see it again on the big screen again.
Yeah.
And then after that is the main event. We're going to have Robbie Lopez's Cult of Blood showing. So that'll be a lot of fun. Obviously, you'll hear about this because we have the promotional video that Adrian did at the beginning of everything.
It's so good.
So we're just hammering this shit into you to make sure that you guys remember to show up.
Yeah, it's our first real, kind of event that we're putting together. So we're all proud of it. I mean, it's good. It's good shit. So it's going to be good all around. It's something to definitely do. So hopefully y'all can make it out.
And it's at Lang Lab, and it's going to be good. I think it's $10 for a person.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to miss it. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so it's, mark it on your calendars. It's definitely why we're kind of doing this. So
speaking of Lang Lab, we missed a special party for a very good friend of ours. Jonin, if you're listening, and I'm sure you are, so sorry that we missed your birthday party. But we do actually have gifts for you.
Yes.
And I'll make sure Luke throws up a picture of them. But we do have gifts for you. I'll let Mark talk about these bad boys that we have in front of us.
So from one drummer to another, I hope your wrists are nice and loose, because we got you some thick-ass unbreakable drumsticks. So.
Yeah, your girlfriend said that you kept breaking yours, so we try to fix that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They're I'm not familiar with this brand, but honestly, drumsticks don't really matter. You know, it doesn't matter to me. So no, they're good. They're going to be durable. Definitely good.
They came from TG Music.
TG Music, yep, right downtown Goshen.
Yep, so definitely supporting local. And then Luke kind of helped us with this other one. Your girlfriend also mentioned that you really like weird PlayStation games.
Weird PlayStation games.
We got you some weird shit then. So one of them is called Reign of Fire. So...
yeah, based off the Matthew McConaughey movie.
Yeah, it's a strange movie about dragons attacking a city.
In the modern age, yeah.
Yep. It's Luke's played it. He's reviewed it on his channel. He was drunk when he played it. So.
Which you need to be.
Yeah.
It's best.
And then the other one was a recommendation from somebody else who said that this was actually a diamond in the rough kind of game. It's Peter Jackson's King Kong. I think the gimmick of it is you can choose which gameplay you want to be, whether you want to be Kong, whether you want to be the man.
Okay.
So I'm like, that's interesting. Hopefully, Jonan, you'll be at the show. So that way we can give you your gifts.
Yeah.
So happy belated birthday to you. Now into some horror news.
Yes. Into the good stuff.
Lots of fucking shit is coming out and it's great. But it's all good shit.
I want to talk about this one first because
Go for it.
I kind of want to hear what you think about it. So Wolfman preview dropped like last week. I didn't even bother sending it to you. So I guess that kind of gives window into where this might go.
Yeah, it looks like shit. I don't know what they're trying to do. Okay, first off, nothing about the opening trailer screams werewolf to me.
Yeah, it's just bad.
If anything, the first thing I would have thought was maybe a Fly remake because there's like a lot of bugs involved.
Yeah.
And I was just like... what the hell does this have to do with the Wolfman?
Yeah, I didn't know anything. And then I actually saw someone took a picture of their Wolfman and like pasted it somewhere, and then they were reacting to it, and it just was
it looks like shit.
Yeah, it was just getting bashed, and it does look pretty bad.
If I remember correctly, they had like a character actor in the Wolfman, like what was supposed to be in the movie, walking around Universal Horror Nights, and it looks...
it looks stupid.
It looks pretty bad. And they're just trying to promote the film, and it's like,
Well, maybe it comes out and it's just off to a rough start. Maybe it ends up being a decent movie. You never know.
You know, speaking of a better Wolfman, or at least it looks better, there's like a interesting, like, female-oriented horror movie that's also kind of werewolf-based, but not really, called Night Bitch.
Yeah, I saw part of this. It has the redheaded girl that does a lot of romance movies. I forget what her name is.
She's more of like a, what do you call it, rom-com actress.
And I only saw the preview once. I'll be honest, I wasn't really paying attention, but it did. I did like retain it in memory. So like, oh yeah, I need to look for that because it could be interesting. Like one of those where it's like, okay, I saw the trailer, but I wasn't paying attention. I probably should pay attention. Oh,
that's her name, Amy Adams.
Yeah, Amy Adams. There you go.
She looks like she's having fun in it, and it does. And like even the trailer starts off as like a boring rom-com, and then all of a sudden it's kind of spirals into this horror comedy, and I'm like, okay, this looks like it could be good. We also have a reboot of Salem's Lot because of course they're going to do it again. This will probably be like the third or fourth time that they've done it already. It looks interesting.
I've never watched any of the other Salem's Lot.
Did you watch the one from the 80s?
Yes.
Okay.
So I saw the original, and then that's all that I've seen, I should say. Seen, whatever. I don't know. I hate English. But yeah, and they've done a lot of stuff since the original, and I've seen none of it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the thing is with the miniseries that came out in like was it 79?
Yeah.
Was just really good. If anything, here's the way. Okay, so I've read the book too. If anything, Salem's Lot needs to just stay in the 70s.
Yeah, I agree. I think it needs to be a timepiece and just stay there.
It's just I don't know how you could modernize it with a lot of the stuff that goes on in the actual book itself.
Yeah.
Let alone just the surrounding thing. It makes sense for it to be in that time period with small towns, people. I mean, you can do it with small towns. If anything, you could even argue that you could do what you did with It. And do it that way. but not put it in modern day. You know what I mean?
Have it back,
back in the 70s, or if you want to age it up, you can do the 80s. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But like it, I feel like this was a miniseries that impacted a lot of people back in the day. Sure. My dad said he was terrified.
Yeah, it did when it was new. It did,
of that miniseries.
It did have a lot of attention around it.
Like, you know how we as kids, we like 90s kids, we grew up with it being the scary thing from the miniseries.
Yeah.
That weird buck-toothed vampire was the thing that scared the kids of the 70s.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool that there's two different generations that were impacted by Stephen King novels that were adapted into miniseries. Rest in peace, Under the Dome. You didn't do that great. I remember I watched that thing religiously when it first came out.
How long ago was that out?
2013 to 2015.
Oh, yeah.
It was interesting. It had my attention. I don't think I finished it. I'm definitely sure I probably did not finish it, but all right. So next on the docket is...
So Terrifier 3 is going to be in theaters October 11th. So that is going to be right around the corner. I don't know. So I don't know. I'm not like most people on this one. I thought Terrifier 1 was way better than Terrifier 2. I don't know. I just wasn't really a big fan of Terrifier 2. I'm curious with this third one. I don't know, but I have a serious love-hate relationship with Terrifier,
So I've already predetermined, call me whatever the fuck you want to call me, but I've already predetermined I'm not watching this third one. Okay. There's already talks of them killing off a child.
Oh.
I don't want to see that unless the little shit gets what is coming to him. If it's like the little shit from Trick or Treat, the one that like gets his like
the fat kid who eats the candy and throws up.
He had what was coming to him. I don't give a fuck about him. So if it's like a little shit kid like that, I don't care.
Okay.
But if it's just like like in the original movie All Hallows Eve, that Terrifier or that, Art was initially in, where he does kill the two kids, but at least it's off screen. No, I'm not watching it. Sorry, it's not happening. I like the first one. I thought it was fine. I can stay there. I'm good.
Yeah, I'll definitely see it, just because I do respect kind of the path that, what is his name, Damien, the director?
Yeah.
Has kind of carved out. So I'm going to give it a whirl. I could like it. I mean, shit, the third Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Leatherface, is one of my favorites.
Right.
So, hey.
There's always some some thirds, sequels that are just better than, the original are ones that you end up revisiting. Not necessarily better than the original, but you end up revisiting. Speaking of, we finally saw Beetlejuice. You saw it before me.
I did.
We'll do maybe a mini review later, but, perfectly fine. It was a great movie. Definitely go see it. It's cute. It's wonderful. It does your heart good.
Yep. Absolutely. I guess to kind of move things along a little bit, I know we were going to talk about some other stuff. There's a show coming up that I want you to kind of shout out for Ignition.
Absolutely.
Ignition, because you showed me this.
Yes. So I was told from my really good metalhead friend, Josh, thank you, Josh, that Ignition is fucking finally having a metal show. They have not had one since, I want to say, I would have just had Casper at that time.
Yeah, because it's the one that we were going to go to, but neither of us went. Yes.
Because Casper was literally born before the show.
Oh, really? So I didn't, I can't remember.
That's okay. It was that close, because I said that if he wasn't going to be born by this time, I'm going to go to the show. I'm just going to stay away, obviously, but I'm going to go. Nope, that didn't happen. So they've literally not had a show since February, March, or whatever, since 2023.
Awesome. Yeah, and to me, I will probably give a shout out to Julie, one of the owners of Ignition, to see if we can kind of post up and do something. So we got plenty of time. October 26th, we said. Ignition Records, Goshen. Do you remember what the bands are?
Yeah,
I couldn't even remember the bands.
I've seen at least two of them.
Have you?
In concert before, kind of in the same situation. But one of them's Pharaoh Hound.
Okay.
Another one is Ruthless Hustle. I've seen them before. And then one I haven't seen yet is Seventh Crown.
Seventh Crown.
Yep. So it's a Halloween show at Ignition, October 26th. Doors are at 7. Music is at 8. And it's $15 to get in, but it's all ages.
15 all ages. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, October 26th, we're getting right close to Halloween. That's when I really love the weather. And side note, if you've never been to downtown Goshen in the fall, it's absolutely beautiful.
It is the most beautiful thing.
It really is. I mean, for me, one of the biggest things of moving back here, because this is year 4 that I've been back from Texas, because I moved back from Texas. And one of the big driving factors was how much I love fall here and how much I love fall in Indiana and Michigan. So much cool shit. Hoodie weather, I absolutely love. So I look forward to fall so much because, you know, when I graduated high school, I lived in Tampa, Florida, and then I lived in Austin, Texas. So that was a total of like 16 years. So I went 16 years without having like a true fall.
Holy shit.
So for me, I just soak them all up. So, I mean, even if you're, you know, not attending the show, check out downtown Goshen, get yourself a coffee, like stop in Electric Brew. They have great coffee.
It's right there by Ignition.
Yeah, it's right there. It's kind of why I mentioned it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even if you don't stay for the show, go walk around. There's lots of cool stuff, good food. Yeah.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and get into our episode.
Oh, yes, the meat and potatoes of this one. So excited about this. It ties into what we were talking about the 27th. We're going to interview.
For our show,
Yep. We're going to interview Robbie, and we're going to find out some good stuff, hopefully.
Yeah, it's cool that he's the director of Cult of Blood, and
I know.
we're going to be able to actually meet him.
I know. I'm so excited
we
for
met
this.
him, but it's different when you actually get to see the person in person, you know?
Absolutely. Well, we hope you enjoy.
All right, welcome in, Cellar Dwellers. We are back with another episode.
Yes, we're so excited to be back. We have a very special guest here.
Yes,
you all.
We absolutely do. Yes, we've been kind of, you know, doing some of these online-y interviews. So we're lining them up. So we're just going to keep them going. So today we actually have with us today. Go ahead. I was going to say you can say hi.
How's it going, guys? I am writer, director, effects artist Robbie Lopez. Glad to be with you here today.
I love that your name just rolls off the tongue. Robbie Lopez.
Yeah, it's funny when I was visiting in Canada, all my friends there, they didn't just call me Robbie. They said my full name every time. Like, well, who's going to take Robbie Lopez to go pick up this from the airport? Do we have Robbie Lopez bags? Like, I thought that was pretty funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I do the same thing with my dog. My dog's name's Pete, but I call him Peter Johnson. Like, hey, I need to take Peter Johnson outside.
Right on. So I understand you guys want to talk about some serial killers today, huh? A specific one. Yes. Well, big mystery, big secret, big surprise. I wrote a movie about Richard Speck. So I did a bit of studying and research on Richard Speck. He's not a real big famous one. He doesn't have a name that brings, you know, fear and thoughts like Dahmer or Manson or something like that to you. And that was a big part of my interest, what kind of drew me to him. But Richard Speck was largely considered by a lot of people, especially America and for the Midwest, one of the first mass murderers, really, that Chicago's ever had. But in general, I believe that still holds up. With some folks. I've seen published things, but July 13th, we're coming right up on the anniversary in the south side of Chicago, 1966. A petty thief, kind of low life, down on his luck, weird individual that had a very troublesome and kind of abused life growing up, not making excuses, but he wasn't a very good looking guy either. He had pock marks from acne. He was a little skinny, weird looking guy, a little awkward, kind of hillbilly too. Well, he wandered around and he went and found this large 2-level apartment on the south side of Chicago. And it just so happened there was 4 nursing students inside at that exact time. He was drunk as a skunk, had a switchblade knife in his pocket, and he actually had a revolver that he stolen from a woman previously that he assaulted, didn't kill, but drunkenly assaulted just hours earlier that night, and kind of in a panic stole her purse. She wound up having the gun that he used to threaten and intimidate with. Funny thing about these murders is no one was shot.
That was interesting.
And 8 people total died. Now we're walking you through. There's 4 of them right now as he reaches access to the apartment. And he's talking to them normal, calming them down, showing them the gun, getting them all in one room, telling them, listen, I just need some money. I'm down on my luck. Let's see what we can get. I'll get out of your hair. Lickety split. Not a big deal. Sorry to shake you up. You guys are nursing students. Appreciate what you do. This type of thing. And the girls didn't have very much money. It was only about 11, 12, 13 bucks or something. And he wasn't really caring about the money. He was a twisted person. And so they still had no idea. So he took the first one into a separate room. And he basically raped her and then strangled her to death, unbeknownst to the other room full of girls. So he kind of worked his way through this strangling and rape type of thing throughout the night. All this went down in just 24 hours. The thing about it is as he got 2 or 3 girls in, taking them into these separate rooms and kind of emotionally and verbally torturing them, beating them type of thing, 2 more girls came home.
Yeah.
And they opened up the door to this. So now he goes from having 4, 1 deceased, 1 in the middle of working it, and 2 more. So now a total of 6, 5 living that he's got his hands full with, So he's ridiculous matters. Well, it doesn't stop there. As he kills a couple more of them, one girl that he leaves in the room, in the pile of girls waiting in the room, her name was Cora. She was actually clever enough that she was so scared, she just hid under the bed. Yeah. She hid under the bed and didn't make a sound the whole time. Well, like I said, 2 more girls come in after the 2 extra girls. So he's really confused by now. And he's upset. He's kind of pissed off. He's like, how many more fucking people are coming into this house? Ridiculous. Long story short, he ends up lying to make them feel like they have a chance, hope. He ends up strangling, raping, killing, slicing the throats. Most of them, he sliced their throats or he strangled them to death after raping them. Some he raped before, after, during type of thing. And then sun kind of came up, and I feel like it all washed over him, probably, the reality of what the fuck these past hours just happened. And like a coward, he ran out. He ran a couple blocks away. The first place he went was this little bar. And I'll tell you guys later when you interview me about it, because I actually went to the apartment and I went to the bar. We actually went to the places. Yeah, it's pretty close, pretty damn close. Like it's a walk away or whatever. But he completely got away with it. And then just being a drunk and depressed person, this and that, days later, he who knows what came over him. I really doubt it was any type of anything biblical or any type of respect for himself or any remorse for what he did. I'm sure it was something else stupid, but he got in his head he was going to kill himself. So he attempted to. And that's what landed him in the hospital. So when the police come, everything, she climbs up out of the bed, screams, goes and gets help. Boom, everyone's on it. They're trying to figure out who the fuck this guy was, just did all this killing. They couldn't find him at all. Well, she remembered he had a tattoo on his forearm that said "Born to Raise Hell."
You're the title of your movie.
Yeah.
Yes. So when he tried to kill himself and he was in the hospital, he had blood all over his arms. It was dried up. So they didn't know he had a tattoo all over the radio. If at the end of the movie, during the credits, that's the actual radio report that we use. You can hear he's talking about how he used to be not a fisherman, but like anyway, they kind of give a brief description on him, and they say that he has "Born to Raise Hell" tattooed on his arm. Well, once they cleaned him up after they saved his life from the attempted suicide, a couple days later, one of the nurses put it together because the APB was out on the lookout for this guy who matched his description with this tattoo. Days later, they finally got all the blood off his arms, and they see that that's their man. They get him, and he rotted in prison ever since, and he finally died in prison. But, you know, seeing the stuff after that, like the more recent stuff of him, he turned into that's a whole different movie and a whole different he turned into a freak in prison. He did some weird shit to survive that, and dare I say, he was happy there. Like, that's a twisted person, man. He figured out how to thrive there, and that's really scary stuff. So that was kind of the story of Richard Speck and him assaulting 9 nurses, murdering 8 of them, getting caught, and then, you know, why the hell do I want to make a movie about that? That sounds it sounds like misery, you know? It sounds like just mean-spirited, you know? So that was kind of my challenge too, is how do I take something that could be 90 minutes of literally raping and killing these women and make it as non-mean-spirited as I can. We thought it was going to be rated X, you know? We thought it was going to be so gory. Like, there was going to just be so gory and all this that no one would ever play it and blah, blah, blah. So I was thinking, well, I'll go the Alfred Hitchcock kind of aspect and let their mind finish it and make it almost, you know. And then some of my friends said, well, does that make it even worse? Sometimes you leave it up to people's minds, it's just words and things, and they'll crucify you like you're better off just showing the guts, you know. And I'm like, you're right. But so then I got in my mind, like, I'm going to take a 1960s, I love Russ Meyer's films when I was younger, and I was like, I'm going to take more of a Russ Meyer's kind of Andy Warhol approach to this and see what comes out. I think it's not going to come out mean-spirited, you know. It might. Who knows how it's going to come out? But that, I felt like, would keep me away from just like, yes, rape and torture and women. Right. I think I hate women or something, you know. My whole reason for the movie and for spending 24 hours with these people is the victims. To put the weight of that on folks. Like, at the time, Mindhunter was really popular. All these serial killer shows were getting really popular while we were in post-production on this, and as we were like selling the movie in the middle of negotiating with companies and stuff. And one thing I just seen with all of it is they worship the serial killers. Like, it's a fun thing now. You could go into Hot Topic and buy a shirt with the person's face that murdered like someone else's family on it, and we're like, yeah, dude, Ted Bundy's pretty cool, dude, but like my favorite serial killer that raped and killed young boys was like, what the fuck? So I always thought that was a weird fetish that our society has. I wanted, you know, people to know. I wanted them to have to spend a day with these girls, get a connection to them, and then not be able to leave the room while you see what happened to them. I wanted the weight of what happened that night and how it affected these people's day because of him to be the focal point. I wanted the viewer to have to sit in the room and hold our fucking hand, you know, through it. And I was like, whatever we get doing that is what we're going to get.
It's funny that you say that, because that's the perspective that we try to tell any of our true crime from, is we just believe that it's important to tell the victim's story and not leave anything out, because that is something that they genuinely went through. Someone literally experienced every single second of that. And I think to slight that or negate that is just disrespect to the dead. And I agree 100%. I actually, in a past episode, talked about how I get pissed off when I see people buy a Jeffrey Dahmer shirt, because I'm like, yo, he's still got relatives of the murder victims still alive in Wisconsin. And what are you going to do if you walked by a victim's family member wearing a Jeffrey Dahmer shirt? Because like,
dick, you know, what a dick move.
Exactly. It's a huge asshole thing. And like, I too hate how society, you know, glorifies the serial killers, and we kind of flip it around. And it's like the serial killers will get glorified, but it's really the victims and their families that need to have light shed on it, because if you don't tell someone's
Education,
story,
respect, and information.
Yep. And if you don't ever tell someone's story, that's how the dead become dead. If you don't carry on and you don't talk about them and you don't bring them up, then they cease to exist 100%.
Exactly. So this is like record, you know what I mean? Informational, on record, not just like, let's pump up how cool this guy is for doing evil, dark things. Yeah,
Right.
I love that. And that's the way to go about it. Because like you said, you got to respect all of it, man. And it's such heavy stuff. This isn't Tales from the Crypt. This isn't, a horror convention and all that stuff. Even though it attracts our same people. We're the same, the same ecosystem. Like, I get that. We're fascinated by it. We love that kind of stuff. But there's a proper way to handle it. I dig that. I think that's cool that you guys feel the same way. Because I honestly, Born to Raise Hell and this kind of story is, for me, when I wrote it, before we filmed it, I was telling my crew and stuff, even at the time, like, this is the kind of movie I'd probably watch one time. Like, this ain't really my type of thing. I'm a horror guy,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, and they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's just kind of like Irreversible or something, like I'll watch it once and be like, damn, that was a good movie, or that was a heavy movie, or this or that. But like, I'm not going to watch a Serbian film like fucking twice a year or something,
That's an awesome example.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. I'm glad that I've seen it once, because I'm curious and this and that, and I respect the how heavy that is and the art and everything, but I'm not going to wear the shirt and root for it and be like, oh, guys, every 3 months we're going to all get together and watch Serbian film. Like, I'm not going to turn it into some fetish or something weird. And I was telling them that, I'm like, I like monster stuff. I like stuff that is creatively scary that I could sculpt or watch. And, I grew up with that kind of fantasy element, or even like the big monster thing. I'm like, a guy with a knife or a gun killing people, that's scary. That's real to me. That is a horror movie to me. And, even my business now, like, I live and work like in a not, I've always lived and worked in like a not very safe, part-time. That stuff's way too close to my reality as is, and my upbringing, the things that, we've had to go through just to survive. That to me is the real horror movies and the real scary stuff, when it's just a person, when it's about a person. So I don't really go out of my way to make that kind of art and leave it behind. But everything just kind of fell right with this. And then I had this kind of vision to present it, and we take our aim, we take our shots, and out of all the things I've done and things that I failed or didn't hit quite as far out of the park as I was expecting, I feel like, as kind of low budget as it is, and what we had to work with and everything we had to go through behind the scenes to get this thing going, and how quick we did it, I'm actually still pretty proud of that. Of Born to Raise Hell a lot, just because I didn't take the easy, disrespectful kind of bullshit way out, where it's just like, fuck, let's just get these bitches naked and have them all raped and killed real quick and show guts and like give these freaks what they want. Instead, I like really tried to make a coherent film, that someone could watch and maybe even revisit. And now that I have, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be watching it. And I'm like, oh, you can't actually watch this more than once. It's still pretty heavy. I don't know why you would, but there's some little endearing things here and there with characters that'll kind of make you laugh or be like, oh, I could go with seeing that again.
Yeah. So let's kind of talk about the victims themselves, and also about your movie, because I want to compare and contrast, versus the real people and then the actual characters, and maybe even talk about the actresses that play the characters, because you had a spot-on cast, honestly.
What's funny with that is, outside of them being mostly females of color and a lot of Asian, a lot of Spanish influence, and nursing students, like, there wasn't a ton. They were pretty laid back women of the time, like hard working, hard researching, studying. I had to kind of go through what was happening back then and kind of use my imagination and read things. And I watched a bunch of old listened to a bunch of old radio at the time.
That's cool.
And some of the first shows and things like this, and even types of refrigerator. There's like refrigerator commercials. I've like watched all kinds of stuff to kind of see what the hell they would even be talking about. You know, what would their small talk even be about? Because where I'm at, I'm so detached, and I'm a man. You know what I mean? So I like I said, I went about it. About a year before we did anything is when I started writing it. And I really, really researched it and found out like, a bunch of redundant stuff. A lot of stuff says the same kind of thing about the night. There's 2 or 3 movies that are products of their decade that they were made in. One of them has Corman Nemec in it.
Oh my God.
Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
Wow.
Parker Lewis Can't Lose is playing him, and he's a good actor, but he is such a nasty character in that. Oh my gosh, these people in the other 2 Richard Speck movies that I've seen, man, you would have thought Rob Zombie wrote them or something. He's got this gnarly Southern accent. He's like, "All right, you bitches, fucking get up again." I mean, it's whoa. Yeah, talk about coming from a mean-spirited place. I was just like, wow, that could have been our movie. And I'm so glad it didn't. So everything I could find about the girls, I knew that I wanted to respect the families of them. I didn't want no one coming after me saying, why the fuck you make my aunt look this way? Or why are you people still talking about their murders or any of that, which I had heard in the past. You know, I'm sure no telling how people went about talking to him, but in the past there had been some things like that where like the family didn't sign off on something because they didn't like the way it was represented, this and that. So I knew I wanted to avoid all of that, and I wanted to do this as respectful as possible. So I didn't use all their names. I used a couple of the names. I changed up some of the stuff. Kind of my whole formula with this movie was, when I wrote it, was I took 1/3 of it is all the facts. I made sure that I got all the facts, all the timing, all the things happening on what happened that 24 hours. That was like, had to go down like that. Was not gonna be flexible with that. So all the facts are there. And then I had to take and write another 1/3 of it was just completely Hollywood, like made up, like for the movie. And that was just like put them in a real setting with stuff going on that day, because they don't know like, oh, we got 24 hours to get killed today. No, They've got shit going on, you know. And I had, as I was researching the girls, they talked about one of them had just started dating this new guy and stuff like that. So I thought, oh, how fun would that be if I make this like the night of their first date? And that could be a big distraction for anyone who doesn't know this is about Richard Speck murders. They might, I want the guy she's on the date with to be kind of like, could he be the killer? If you've never seen the movie, you know, if you don't know what's going on, like I wanted him to be a little bit of a red herring. And then maybe even once Richard shows up for a moment, you think, oh, maybe they're in on it together because this guy's kind of shady.
Like when he was at the door, knocking before he said run.
Yes. Yeah. So you're thinking, oh, he's in on it with them. You know, he didn't leave. Yeah, I was totally going for that type of stuff. That's why I wanted to make sure that you showed him get angry at the homeless guy that did nothing but be homeless on him, you know, to show like, even though he's not the killer, he's not a good guy. This is the world we live in, you know. So, and I wanted to do a little red herring, so that way people who thought, oh, I know the story of Richard Speck, it's the same bullshit, that they would be like, what's this? What the hell's going on? Who's this long-haired guy? It's kind of my little chef's kiss to be like, oh, do you know it all? Do you? You know? So what I could do, since I needed to change the names and certain things like this around, was I made sure that I got girls who looked like them. I thought, and then my hair and makeup girl did a really good job on the hair and makeup. And I picked out all the outfits. I usually do that with all my movies. I do the set design and I do all the costuming, and I like being really hands-on with stuff like that, especially a period piece or something with anything specific, you know. So 1/3 of it was completely made up just for a good story. 1/3 of it was a product of the time, and then 1/3 had to be the dead-on absolute facts. And I kind of put that all together, and Ted Chalmers at Summerhill Films. They're the ones that bought it from us for distribution, and then they put it out through Wild Eye, which is really bizarre because Wild Eye does like ghost shark, haunted house, alligator movies in space, not really serial killer movies. But hey, they got us a cool distribution that worked. And Ted, why I decided to go with them was he was one of the first guys responsible for actually signing off on saying, hey, this is a good idea on bringing a Texas Chainsaw Massacre to the world, to the market, helping that movie get distribution. So,
that's really
the nostalgia, the little kid in me is like, oh, I'm going to pick that one out of the, one asking about it.
I've done the same thing.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah. And he said the same deal when we were talking about all this, because he was very concerned about the families or any of the names or any of this, like, oh my God, and we went over it. He was just like, man, it's perfect that it's the 1/3 like that. He's like, because it's so spot on and factual, but it's your own creation too. He's like, we're not gonna like, yeah. He said you did that great, and I was like, cool. All I did was kind of thought ahead of it instead of trying to change it afterwards.
Yeah. So speaking of the families and stuff like that, we were going to kind of go over a breakdown of the victims, their names, and kind of just some facts and stuff about them. And I figured it's perfect timing since we're talking about them anyway. So we'll kind of go over some of that.
So first off is Nina Schmall. I got a lot of this information, though, about the victims from the Nurses Memorial Association. Apparently, there's like a Facebook page just dedicated to those nurses that died.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. And so Nina Schmall, there's not too much about her, but like her brother John set up like a scholarship in her honor at Wheaton College.
That's cool.
Suzanne Ferris, she was actually friends with Marianne Jordan. They were both friends because they also were going to become potential sisters-in-laws. I guess Susie was dating Marianne's brother at the time, so they were talking about wedding plans and stuff like that.
So they were really close.
Nice.
Yeah. And so Susie's brother carried her photo around with them for like forever, just in her memory. And Marianne's apparently had a good sense of humor, and she was working towards continuing into her bachelor's degree after she got her nursing degree there.
These
I assume
were all, like some of the best kind of people too, and for their families and everyone, like just overnight for something like that to happen. They didn't get hit by a car, for something of this level to happen is just, devastating. It's not even the word. It's just, there's not even words for it. There's not even words for it to understand. That's like, like a friend of mine, not to get too far off, but a close friend of mine got into a car accident and it killed one of his small children. Like, there's not words for that. He's never going to be the same, ever. It's been years too. It's just never, and there's nothing I could tell him. When I break down and cry because I have children, just the confusion of even knowing how to console something like that. You get that call the next day and it's just like, hey, the world, it's never going to be the same right now after this conversation like that. And at the time, wow, in the 60s, it's just worse scenario. And they were such good people. They literally were living their lives to help people. They're the type of civilians that we need more of, and instead we lost 8 of them.
And apparently 3 of them were from the Philippines. Melita Gargialo, I'm probably butchering her poor name. She was the oldest of 9 children, and 2 of her youngest sisters actually became nurses in her honor. Let's see here. And then the other one was Valentina Passion. She was born on Valentine's Day in 1942. And she and Melita actually met each other on the plane to the United States. Wow. So that was pretty neat. And then the third one was, of course, the survivor, Corazon Amaro. And she was the sole survivor, by hiding under the bed and that sort of thing. The other thing was, though, too, apparently her, Melita and Valentina were very close to each other, not just because they were from the Philippines, but because they had kind of the same story. where they were trying to make a life for themselves. They were trying to help others. They saw all the bad things that were happening in the Philippines and wanted to make a difference. So they came to U.S. for this. When you say like, yes, they were all wonderful people, but this was kind of a neat thing that I heard from Pamela Wilking. She said, and I quote, "I wanted to be a nurse for years. I like people very much. I've never liked seeing anyone suffer." That was a direct quote from her, from like a high school like thing that she wrote. And I'm just like, aw.
Yeah.
And Pam was our character too that we knew was something special, just because in the research I found almost every line that she has in the film with Richard is true words that Pam said to him. She was the one that spit on him. She called him ugly. She talked about his face, and he took it out on her like the worst, but she tried to stand up for the girls, and she was the one that was not sitting there trying to take it. She told him several times, "I'm not afraid of you," and stuff like this. And you're a big tough guy stealing from nursing students. Great. Yeah. You know, she was in everything that I could find and then read. You know, she let him know, for better or worse. Like, that was her.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
they portrayed her character, and not to mention you found somebody that looked pretty much just like her. That was great.
I tell you, the hair and makeup, I go into so much, but I do have an eye for faces and stuff. I try to. Being an artist and stuff, I've always had, that's been a strength for sure. And I feel like in my head when I'm casting the movies that it makes sense too. And I love getting reassurance whenever I can like that. But yeah, I thought that if I get those canvases like that and they're good actresses, then I just couldn't believe she did such a great job on all their hair and stuff. I thought their hair and makeup was just, it really, really finished it and sold it for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she did look like it though, like her and Cora, and yeah, I really nailed a couple of them, I would say.
I was going to say Gloria looked pretty good too. Not to mention Gloria, that particular night, she was the one that went out with, I think she had announced her engagement to her fiance and then to her mother-in-law. And they were out having champagne, and then she was dropped off that night by her fiance, and then all hell broke loose. But she looked just like her, like the actress that played her. She did. She was so cute too. Like, I loved her hair. Like,
yes, right. Yeah, I picked that dress out with her. I thought that was killer.
Yeah. And she also had like an award apparently created in her honor at the Northern Illinois University. And she also worked at South Chicago Community Hospital for quite some time. There was also, I think the last girl that we're going to talk about is Patricia Mutuzek. She basically had also another quote. She said, "Ever since I can remember, I've always wanted to be a nurse because I enjoy helping those in need. The joy one gets from helping others cannot be taken away." So, yeah, they were all pretty incredible women. And I think you did a really good job, like, portraying each of those ladies in a particular way. They all had their own personalities.
Yeah.
And you really did a good job, like, kind of fleshing them out.
Oh, good. Yeah, that was a challenge because we only had so much time, and I wanted to, like I said, spend the day with them over, like, you know, creepy, like feeling like you're watching a creepy horror movie or whatever. And we've gotten some good reviews on it. And one of the complaints, even from a good review, was the pacing a bit. But I feel like, because it was a horror review place, I'm like, well, yeah, but that to me wasn't a bad thing, you know, because I'm like, that pacing they're talking about is spending too much time with the girls. I'm like, if you break it down, it's not, the movie's like, what, maybe an hour and 20 minutes or something?
Yeah,
hour and 2 minutes?
Yeah.
So, like, you know, we spent just barely, I think, a passing amount of time to feel like you've gotten, we could have did a lot more if we had not went through the things that we had at the time. So that was the challenge for me, was how do we care at all about these girls? You know, I had to have some endearing moments shoved in there, or make me laugh a little, or smile, or show me that you're innocent or something, or like make me, remind me of my aunt or my cousin or a girl that that we know, or your sister's friend, anything like that before shit starts getting going. So thanks for I really appreciate like that people notice that stuff, because like I said, sometimes you get in that tunnel vision and you don't know what you're doing or who you're doing it for anymore.
And first critic, being the creator,
Well, ever since the first thing I think movie-wise I've ever made, online or short or anything, you get your people daily telling you, kill yourself, you're the worst, you're horrible. You're like, damn, just for trying to do something creative,
Right.
like I'm that bad all of a sudden? Like, fuck me. Like, which is really funny, because in real life, everyone's super nice to me. I'm not like a big scary guy, but like I've been cage fighting and a prize fighter for 11 years, so people know I'm like about that life. I'm the type of guy, I'm a really good cook too. Like it's just, I'm the type of guy that like I love it. I love I'm very into, you don't have to worry about me saying something behind your back, put it that way. I'm very confrontational. I'm very nice, but I'm also very confrontational. Like I love that shit. Like, I'm not hard to find or this and that. So it's funny, because in real life, or when people see me or whatever, then everyone's super sweet. But it's like weirdos on the internet that had a bad day just want to like go vent out and not get anything back, just because it's like, what did they do to you? Who did this to you?
Yeah, right.
Because, in real life, there's nothing that we couldn't just put on some boxing gloves and have fun and end up becoming friends afterwards.
Right.
And have this bonding thing. That is animal. That is nature. That's instinctual. That's about being an adult, that to me is society. And we need to get back to that kind of stuff, man. These people being able to easily just unload on folks, it's silly, and it really hurts me that younger kids don't have thick skin, and that might really fuck with their day and stuff, and anyway, that's a different podcast, but you guys get it. I'm sure you get people dumping shit on you, but too.
It happens everywhere, but that's one thing that I can attest to, because I am a little bit older, is like back in the day, shit like that never happened, because for example, I had beef with you. Like, if I talk shit behind your back and you got word of it, like, you get to confront me. Right. Or like, I would have to say said thing to your face. Right. And that takes a certain part of a human being to be able to do that to another person, to be able to actually confront and say to your face, hey man, your shit's terrible, like you can't direct whatever someone may sling at you, whatever. Right.
And then we could have discourse about it. We could talk. I'd be like, well, this guy was sick, and that's why I think it sucks too. The audio guys, we had to fire this dude, and like we had to do what we had to do, bro. Like, kick me in the balls for it. Like, it ain't like I set out saying this is gonna be the best movie ever, and you're wrong. Like, just have a conversation. I might think it sucks too. Like, anyway, that type of thing. So anytime I can get some type of constructive criticism, I love it, man. I love the bad stuff too. I save it all because I'm gonna turn it into content too. Where I like read it all and stuff, because it's funny the amount of times people really ruin their day that I tried to do something in my own money and time to be creative.
That you actually took a leap of faith, that you actually, grabbed your balls and like actually attempted to do something that they have not.
I'm like, fuck me. I should have spent fucking 3 months just writing on people's YouTube channels bad shit. Damn it.
It's putting it out there. It's giving things a shot, and I think a lot of times that may come with jealousy, because those people did not have the stones to actually pony up and do what you're doing, so they've just got to drag you down.
And the sad part is maybe you could do something better, but you haven't. But you haven't. Yeah. So me doing something worse is still light years ahead of you just talking about it. And to me, that's what life is. I'm gonna fail and figure out my fuck ups quicker because I've already started. You know what I mean? And eventually I'm going to have the perfect, in my own, for even myself, my own vision, the perfect, film. And that's awesome. Like, that's what it's about.
I'm sorry about that. I'm on call. I'm a funeral director. So there's times I just got to take a call real quick and then I'll be right back. So I apologize. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no. Hey, it happens. It's fun.
But definitely we kind of want to get into more questions about the movie and just the filmmaking process of it. We interviewed another film director, Tim Wallach, who is from the kind of South Bend, Mishawaka area. So this is kind of neat to be able to ask another filmmaker some more questions.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and let you start.
Okay, so for me, I know we talked about you had a really good, strong female cast. Was it hard kind of assembling that and really getting a good group of people that you felt represented the victims accurately?
Well, and to add to that real quick, Gloria, the chick that played Gloria, is really good at ugly crying. If you can ever get an actress to do that, that is hard. So good on you.
Yeah, she was, it's because she was not miserable, but it was because she went there with it. She got really like into character because she's a theater performer. She hadn't really done much film. That was her first feature. She does a bunch of family theater, a bunch of stuff like that. If you notice, she's one of the only ones that doesn't actually do any nudity. She's wearing like nude colored tiny undergarments, but we actually didn't make her get naked. That was part of her thing because she's a theater actress or whatever. I really loved all of her emoting. I had worked with her before on some shorts and some comedy horror work and stuff, and she's like a really good like stage performer. Like I said, her emoting and stuff, and her voice is really good too for theater stuff. Being able to project it with characters, they're like, "Oh, I sound happy," so I knew she was gonna nail it, but the crying and stuff, she really went there. She like really got in the zone for it, and I was like super proud because she sold it. She sold that character. Yeah, she was great. The thing with the girls and the casting was they were the easiest. That was one of the easiest aspects, and I don't think casting changed at all. Out of all them girls that I had. Normally you do someone falls out and then you replace this one, like especially because we started doing video readings, group readings for rehearsals for about 3 months, like pretty early, more than I get to generally with a lot of these movies. Like we got to do them, so we all got to really get to know each other pretty good. Our problem was Billy Blair, who's a good friend of mine. Something we were talking about earlier, I meant to bring him up when you were talking about people bashing people. Well, it's better than not doing anything, this and that about movies. Is he made a movie too? He's a famous actor. Alita Battle Angel. He did Cherokee Creek is his movie. Him and this guy Todd did, but they're the main guys in this horror movie Cherokee Creek that they made themselves. But Billy's in Machete 2. He's in Sin City. He Nocturna, that vampire movie. If you see his face, you're like, that guy. He's in everything for about 10 minutes. Great fucking guy. But he had said to me, he's like, there's a person out there and a group of fans and people who love it for just about anything that people create. It's like it's just about them finding it, this and that. So he's like, even the stuff that's horrible. He's like, there's people who are specifically into that weird shot on VHS horrible SpaghettiOs and clown mask fucking, he's like, there's even a place for that, in the real world. But anyway, Billy Blair, funny enough, circling back to that and him, he was our first person cast to be Richard.
Really?
Yeah. Not because he looked like him, but because I knew that he could handle the meat. I wanted to really showcase the meat of the writing, his acting, with being able to deliver this serious lines and stuff. Now, as we went on and was rehearsing and stuff like this, me and his agent, she was my agent too at the time, we were going back and forth, and I just had her way too into the movie. She was trying to overcomplicate things and change stuff and really get into his stuff too. Flash forward to today, neither one of us have her as a manager. Pretty funny how that works. But anyway, it got to going, and I was changing stuff around, and I was all for it because this is my manager too for a minute. I'm like, all right, well, maybe get out of my comfort zone. And And then we kind of got to it and was rehearsing one day, and I record the rehearsals and watch them, and I realized as much as I love Billy, he's not the guy.
Yeah.
And then then it hit me too. I'm like, all these girls, and he's going to be wrestling them and manhandling them and being intimidating. And Billy's like 5'6". It's like, this ain't going to look right on camera. A couple of these girls are like 5'10", and they're going to have shoes on and stuff. And he's not going to be throwing them over his shoulder like in the script and going here and there. I'm like, Richard wasn't a big guy. They were about the same weight, but Richard was taller, So I was like, damn, what are we going to do? Then it hit me, and I found this guy who looked just like Richard Speck and was so creepy. So creepy. His name's Rob Mello. He's another famous horror guy. He was the killer from Happy Death Day 1 and 2.
Oh,
When he
that's
takes the
cool.
mask off, the guy kind of has like a skeleton kind of. Yeah, he's in a handful of other indie films, but never really the guy. What's he say? He says, "I'm never the guy who they let kiss the girl and she wants it kissed."
Yeah.
He's like, they always have me play the serial killer guys. So and he's got bad teeth and the whole 9 yards, right? He's like really scary looking guy. And so we were rehearsing with him, and I was like, fuck, I got the Richard Speck that I wanted. The whole time I was picturing this gnarlier guy. I'm like, we barely even got to do makeup to this guy.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. And he was really genuinely creepy. And it kind of scared the girls a little bit.
Oh gosh.
It kind of was a little bit too much. But he was obsessed with, we're months into it too. He was obsessed with trying to get me to make it a SAG feature. And I was like, no, we're doing non-union on this. So I've already got everything going. To change it to union now, we're like a month and a half away from filming, would be just ridiculous. I'd have to do all these things. And anyway, and I hadn't gotten any money from the producers yet. All this is just like moving forward on Word. I didn't actually have funds in an account, which is one of the things you need too when you're doing a union feature. You need at least half of them to show and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of red tape. But I'm like, nah. And we're not going to go through all that just for you, buddy. Like, I love you, but like, you're not a face that people are going to be like, oh, I got to see this because, Brad Pitt's in it. Like, no, you're not. You're not putting too many people in the seat. Like, it's going to be Richard Speck fans wanting to see it. So anyway, he held out on me until almost 3 weeks to filming, and I gave him a deadline, and I finally had to stand my ground, and I got rid of him. And there I was, 3 weeks to filming, and I got rid of my perfect Richard Speck. I had no idea what I was going to do, and I started Googling non-union actors specifically, so I have to go through it again. And I was looking for just anyone that I could make look like Richard Speck at this point, right? And I found this Swedish kid that was smiling with this blonde hair and this deal, and I was like, I wonder if this nice-looking guy has ever even did a horror movie and could pull this off. So I look into his shit. I start watching his reel, and he's got all this, like, a lot of work. I'm noticing, wow, this guy's, like, working a lot. Like, he's a good actor. He's doing all kinds of stuff. And there's one horror movie, and he was the main guy, and he was this serial killer clown. He's a psychopath dressed up as a clown named Sprinkles and doing this whole thing. I'm like, okay, he could get there. I'm like, he's at least, it isn't completely foreign to him. Let me contact him, send him the script, and see if he wants to go this far into it. Because like I said, the script read much more brutal than the movie ended up being, it seems like. Like I said, words are kind of heavier than sometimes just seeing the damn thing. And like when he stabs her in between the legs, like in the script, like you read every word, you feel every letter of that, Then you see it on screen, you're like, oh, for a minute. Then it's like, whatever. But yeah, and he hit me back. He's like, I believe we could do this and all this stuff. And he was so professional and so great about it and knew he was saving the day and just came right in and was so professional. It was so cool to get someone with that much experience in there with these girls and the rest of the cast, that some of them had just did some shorts or theater work, or maybe 2 or 3 of them was doing regular film work. And he was just, I mean, we filmed 12 to 14 hour days, 5 days straight.
Oh.
And when we weren't filming, he was holding court. He had 10 people around him, and he was telling stories and tricks, and it was very cool. Everyone loved him, and that's Michael Madsen, and he is he's one of my favorite people to work with now. I've had him come back on 4 different projects. Like
that's cool.
In Cult of Blood, this newer movie we got coming out later this year, it has Dave Sheridan and Felissa Rose and Michael St. Michael's, the Greasy Strangler. They're in it.
Oh my God.
It's really crazy movie, really fun. It's about a vampire death cult, weird thing, and these kids come across it. But Michael's in it. He's a cop, and he's a big old fat guy. I did all this prosthetic makeup on him and put him in a fat suit, and he's this big fat cop, and you would never know it was the same guy. It's pretty cool. So I just love working with him that much that, I could walk outside here in Kansas City, Missouri, and find tons of big old fat guys that would be a cop in a movie. But I have this Swedish, blonde, little 145-pound guy flying in from Hollywood to do fucking 10 hours of special effects makeup on him to make him a 300-pound Midwestern, fat police officer. So he's brilliant, great dude. I still use a couple of those girls in things as well, and then some of them have really branched out into different things, and it's pretty cool seeing how everyone's dispersed.
I was gonna say Mikhail, or is it Mikhail or Mikhail?
Mikhail.
He is awesome. Mikhail. He is an awesome guy. I really liked his performance. He was intimidating when he needed to be intimidating. He was sweet and kind of awkward when he needed to be. And he really, like you just describing Richard Speck as a person, I'm like, yeah, no, he nailed the awkwardness, the weirdness, the kind of unsettling. I'm not going to hurt. It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
He really nailed that. I also like that particular scene. There's 2 scenes that I like with him. The bathroom scene where like he kind of has this Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer moment.
Yeah, in the mirror.
In the mirror? Yeah.
That was really good. And then the other scene that I really enjoyed was just where he's like stroking Gloria and he's like, it's going to be okay. And he has the girl's glasses on.
Yeah. On the bed.
Yeah. He was just intimidating, but also really good looking at the same time. And I'm like, I don't know how I should feel.
Yes. There was parts where I felt like after we had filmed it, we're like, this guy's too charming. I think they might like him too much. You almost feel like an asshole because you like him a little. You catch yourself kind of liking him or laughing or being intrigued several times in it. And I feel like he really walked the line of giving us just enough of that to where the whole time we're not just like, I fucking hate you. You know what I mean? Like I said, it really helped with trying to make it just not mean-spirited. Trying to make him not as mean-spirited as it could have been. Trying to make the killings not as mean-spirited, but still make it a heavy-duty movie,
Yeah.
Just trying.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that came out. We filmed that in 2020.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
Right before the lockdowns.
Okay.
I didn't have it finished with post-production until about September 2021. And almost a year of post-production. One of the guys lost the fucking audio and it was forever gone. And we had to use the onboard camera audio and it was really bad. And I had to have this guy in another country do all this special shit. And he did like surgery to get us the sound we got. And thankfully it worked and the sound's great. It passed quality control, everything. No one even knew there was a problem. I'm like, oh, thank you. Because it was very expensive after we had already, the day of filming. All right, let me take you back. The day of filming, the producer, I get a call and the money that we had coming in to film the thing went from like went from the money we needed to like less than $5,000. Not even enough money to cover the Airbnbs and stuff and everyone's flights, let alone food, gas, like fucking anything. Any of the costume. The morning of, I'm like dealing with this. I'm like, what? Like, oh man. So I pull a rabbit out of my hat and all these things and just everything that rolled with it. Like I was like, bam, 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 and we got through it. And then we get a call after that first 16-hour day. At the end of the day, me and my DP and his grandmother passed.
Oh.
And he's like, oh. We were already looking at less than like 6 hours of sleep that we were getting ready to get. And he's like, well, I'm going to be late. I'm filming tomorrow. So then the second day, I'm also filming. I'm also doing physically running the cameras too, and doing the set, building sets there with new things that we acquired because we couldn't buy the others. And then we were getting ready to go to a real bar halfway through the day.
Okay.
That I had set up months ahead of time, paid them for everything. It was this cool old bar. It had been there, historic, all this stuff. And I call them as like 25 of us are all loaded up, ready to head there. And they're like, yeah, the owner was saying last night he wasn't sure about. I'm like, dude, we're going to be there in 15 minutes. It's the day of. Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I don't think that they're going to let us do it now. And all this. And I'm like, okay. So I'm fucking walking around. We go back and we go into the Airbnb I got everyone staying in. And I'm walking around and it's this monster of a house. And I'm like trying to call people, figuring what I could figure out, see, okay, well, who's got boxes of bar shit and neons and who has a basement or who has, I'm walking around this house and I go down the stairs and I'm kind of pacing around. I realize I walk in to the downstairs, like opposite of where the garage was. And we didn't even know this when I looked at it, when I booked it, the whole thing, when we moved into it, there was a bar in the basement of the Airbnb house, a little private bar made. And I was like, oh, wow. All right, let's go get some bottles and some shit. Listen, we don't have to go anywhere. Fuck it. And what was cool was the real bar would have had all these sounds and refrigeration and motors and things that would have probably sounded like dog shit. We had an ADR. We would have probably had to ADR the whole thing in the bar. But because of that situation, it was in this downstairs of the house we were in. It was dead silent. It was like we got to set everything. The walls were blank. We got to put whatever we wanted, minimally or whatever in there. So that kind of helped instead of going through later and cutting out anything modern. And then what if we miss something, or what if our VFX guy misses something that he's clipping out, and then we see like a fucking like a Vans sticker or something. So,
yeah.
So we were trying, and those shots at the beginning and at the end of the apartment is the real apartment. The shots of the bar at the beginning is the real bar. We took a drone and got all those, and then I even walked right down the street and up to the door a couple times. We got ran off several times by people in the community. Yeah, they don't like that at all, so we had to get slick with it. So then we came down. We drove to Chicago several times to get shots of certain things like that after we were done with the film, but we got creative, and then we started parking about 2 blocks away and flying our drones over to stuff. Yeah, but then, it's in the south side of Chicago. So, like, pulling out an expensive drone and stuff down there, you only got so much time. We had people on us, groups of people. It's wild. It is wild. There's 2 or 3 times where stuff almost went down. We were just trying to get some footage. Yeah, they're all good.
Who was the drunk lady? She was fun.
Which one?
The drunk lady. We liked her a lot.
Yes. Man, there's this crazy lady I know named Teresa, and I make her act. I thought she killed it. I thought she killed that. So funny.
She did a good drunk.
Yeah, she did.
Yes. So I have her always play like mean moms in like my shorts, like yelling at kids, or a drunk lady, always a drunk loudmouth. And then I had her recently be this mother of alligator victims. So she's just like, all like, and they took her, I can't believe it, type of thing, like breakdown type stuff. And every time I got to kind of pump her up. I'm like, I'm these guys. Most of these guys' acting coach too, like especially people like Teresa, because I like using a mix of, like I said, someone who's a veteran working actor with some younger up and coming working actors and theater kids, like people who really are going above and beyond and got a good attitude about it. And then we mix in some amateurs, too. I'm a big believer in that. It's fun, and I feel like the veteran and more experienced people really like having people to have discourse with and go over and share things with, and everyone really gains working on our productions from just that, even though if we're making some silly dick and fart joke short, horror short, stoner horror short thing in the downtime, like, we're planning these other things and they're learning, like hearing these stories and learning stuff, and it's cool because all these guys end up always get down with these kids. And I've been fortunate enough to work with a bunch of really cool older famous folks. We got about 4 or 5 new movies coming out this year. It's gonna be wild.
Well, that was actually something we wanted to talk about. So
what do you have?
Plug your shit. Shamelessly plug it.
Well, it's a lot, so I don't want to get people overwhelmed. If they want to watch Born to Raise Hell, the movie we talked about tonight, the serial killer film, it's a Russ Meyer's kind of style, Richard Speck horror movie. It's on Tubi and on Amazon Prime streaming. You could physically buy it too at a bunch of over 300 places or whatever if you Google it, and they did a really good job on the physical media of it. Like we did some too. Ours looks stupid. Theirs look really good. Like I bought some of them, like because they look good. But if you want one from me or whatever, I could sign it to you on our website. But get those; they're cheaper and it's really nice art. But so we've got that out. And then Protege Moi. It's a vampire adventure film. It's a horror adventure film. It's a steampunk, medieval, kind of light version of Game of Thrones-y vampire deal. Blood, boobs, some adventure, some technology, some peasant shit. Pretty cool. Richie Ramone from the Ramones. He's the vampire king. That guy was born to be a vampire king. He's about 12 foot tall and 100 pounds. He looks just like a real life vampire. Super cool. Tamara Glenn is in that with him, and she was Samantha from Halloween 5, and then she had a little in the devil outfit. She gets pitchfork. She's a cool scream queen that we work with, but she's also had a small part in Terrifier 2, I guess, and like blink and you miss it, mom at the mall part. But I think she's gonna have something to do with the third one. That's why they showed her for a second in it. But Felissa and Dave do little bitty pop-ups in that. Michael does a pop-up in that. It's got a bunch going on in it. It's a fun movie. Protege Moi. It's on Amazon right now. They also show our films on newvillagevideo.com. That's a great place. They are very good to their creators and stuff there. The Crude Crypt. You can always watch The Crude Crypt. It's our version of Tales from the Crypt. Volume 3 will be out in less than a month. Volume 1 and 2 are killing it. They're on streaming. Those are very fun. Cult of Blood. I'll stop there. Cult of Blood will be done, and we will be touring that this year. We'll probably bring it to streaming around Halloween. And that one is Dave Sheridan. He was Doofy from Scary Movie. He is our star. He's in the whole movie. It's not some bullshit cameo or whatever. He is in the whole movie, and he is so fun. This is the funniest film he's did since Scary Movie. He is fucking hilarious in it. He's the cult leader.
Awesome.
Cult of Blood. Felissa Rose, she's also starring it. She's in the whole movie too. That's his she's the queen kind of their cult that they run. and St. Michael's is this evil entity that they worship, and it's got all these up and coming young adult talent in it. It's got a bitchin' song that was written for it by this band called the Cheneys. It's cool. It's very cool. We made it with it in mind to go to Shudder. We'll see where it ends up landing. It looks like a film that would be a Shudder original or whatever.
We love Shudder.
Yeah.
It has that feel. We set out to make a horror movie that was funny, and I wound up making a really funny movie with some gory horror in it. It's not scary at all.
Yeah.
Nice.
But it's had me pissing my pants laughing editing it. Normally, months into editing the same thing, I just hearing their voices, everything, you just start hating everything about them. and the jokes don't make you laugh, nothing. You're like, God, her voice, I hate it. Because it's like the 6 millionth time. This freaking movie, Cult the Blood, like I was pissing my pants laughing months and months into it on the same thing. So I cannot wait to be in a theater or wherever and watch people watching this, because it's going to be one that's going to tickle you. And then up on the horizon, before the year's over, probably on Troma Now, we will put out exclusively Strange Toys, and that's one that I've got almost finished right now too in post-production. St. Michael's is the main star in it. Patty Mullen, it's her first movie since the 80s. With us exclusively, she plays 2 roles in it, and it's like a rated R version of the Garbage Pail Kids kind of type of thing.
That's fun.
Sweet.
All right.
It's wild. It's wild. A radioactive comet thing lands into a. This movie is just for 13-year-old Robbie. I don't care if anyone else likes this at all. It's the weirdest thing ever. And
Sounds
it's just
kind of
fucking
trauma.
bizarre.
Very true.
Yeah. So and Lloyd's in it too. So I was like, I'm gonna put it on Troma exclusively first, and then put it out everywhere else. But with all of our stuff, for the most part, except for Wild Eye got the distribution on Born to Raise Hell. With the majority of our stuff, I keep the physical media rights and sell it on our website, and it shows still. And then we just sell the streaming rights, or we retain them and put them everywhere. So it just depends on the movie. But that one's going to be I think, because they acquired Frankenhooker, because Lloyd's in the movie, because it'll be like my 45th, production that I've done for Troma. I figured, well, I've never did a feature film just for them. How fun would that be if we have the Michael Hurst, Lloyd Kaufman for Strange Toys? It has Patty in it, has Michael St. Michael's in it. I'm like, that just makes sense. So, and it's just so bizarre. I mean, no other distribution place is going to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So. Put it as a Troma movie and people lower their standards, they see it, they're going to be like, holy shit, that was a really good Troma movie.
Yeah.
So this is where we're at. This is where we're at now.
So what is it like working with Troma? Are they part of the reason like you became inspired to do what you do? Or like who are your inspirations as a filmmaker?
Oh, man. I would have never thought that I would have got to meet Lloyd Kaufman, let alone make as much stuff as I've made for Troma Now, and then actually have a Troma diploma and like be able to call Lloyd.
Really?
Yeah. And I haven't did, like I'm saying, like Strange Toys, I've like went beyond Troma, for about the past 2-3 years. And Strange Toys is like me going back to Troma just because I think it's cool.
Yeah,
it's cool.
But I thought, I'm way better than that. Type of thing for the past couple of years, like Protégé Moi and shit like this. Like it's just a real grand scale. Just trying to get better and better. But I really, really like the movie Freaked. That Screaming Mad George did all the special effects on that. That's one of my favorite movies. The Guyver. Screaming Mad George did the effects on that, and he also directed it. He's just a psychopath. Those are the only 2 movies that he ever had anything to do with directing. Those are like my 2 kind of favorite films, and I really like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. but I'm like a Gremlins guy. I'm a Goonies guy. I love horror too, but I like the weird shit of the 80s that was just fascinating enough for me as a kid to stick with my interest, but not so scary that it was just like chicks getting mutilated. Like I really like Terror Vision and the very creative stuff with little monsters, man. I like Ghoulies.
Critters and Ghoulies were my shit. Yes, I love Critters and Ghoulies.
You guys know we did the Critters movie. We got a new Critters movie coming out. We just finished it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's called All You Can Eat. And we got I've got Eddie. Eddie's in it from Critters 2. Eddie Desin. I've got him in it doing it. Yeah, pretty
That's
cool.
so cool.
Yeah, well, I don't want to do it because we're live on the show. I was going to say I'll run and grab one of the.
Fuck it. No, totally go for it. Fuck that. Yeah, you're going for it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because it's the first thing I ever did that SAG approved. And it's
that's fucking awesome.
I love them.
So
when's that coming out?
August. We're premiering it in August around here. August, September. Like I'll probably get it streaming. Maybe around Halloween. Like I don't know. I'm one of those people that try to put everything on a special day like that. You know.
That's
So maybe right before Halloween or on Halloween, because what did I just say? Yeah, because we're gonna be touring Cult of Blood, and it'll probably release on Halloween. I'll probably do Critters right before that. And I know why we're showing these movies. We're just throwing it at the beginning and not telling people it was like a surprise and stuff. Yeah, I've got I'm literally got like 3 pickup shots still to hit on it, and then that's it. But it's really cool that I'm doing the music and stuff right now the past couple days, and it's crazy being able to not have to just have music made for you, being able to use like big songs and stuff. It gives them this shit a whole different feel, man. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
I have this badass Critters shirt. I'm like, fuck, I should have wore that.
That's so cool. Anything I could do to just keep in it, keep giving that respect to the 80s and 90s stuff, the Roger Corman. I mean, that's probably one of my how prolific he is. I always said that was my only competition other than myself, was just in my head is to try to get more done with my life than Roger Corman did. And he did over 2,000 productions. And if that ain't me in a nutshell, I think in 4 or 5 years, I'm on like 75 or something like, so I'm doing pretty. He lived to be, almost 100. So
he did. May he rest in peace. He just died recently.
Yeah, it really bummed me out because I realized what's funny is I told someone I was pretty kind of upset about it. It hit me a little less than a year ago, but the realization dawned on me that him and another guy is like the only people that are on a bucket list type of thing that I'll probably never get to shake their hand and meet in person, just because logistically I kind of did the math and was like, man, I really doubt at this point Roger Corman's going to be out that much while I'm out type of thing. Whereas just a couple years ago, he was doing some shows. You could, a couple of them close to where he lived and stuff like that. I just knew he's getting so old that yeah. So I was like, yeah, him and Mel Gibson are on a list of things I've already been kind of like, I'll probably never get to tell them how much I appreciate them. You know what I mean? But everyone else, fuck, I've got a lot of heroes, guys. Like I said, I'm an effects artist, I'm a director, I'm a tattooer, I'm a fucking cage fighter. Being able to meet people like Tommy Morrison and fucking Mike Tyson and stuff like this, like it really, really, blows your mind and stuff. And, getting to meet some of your heroes and getting to do these shows. I do so many of these conventions to promote our stuff. I do about 8 to 12 of them a year. And I bring famous people with us too as like a booth guest, but then I also acquire new ones to work with when we're at them. And it's just a fun deal to be able to rub elbows with everyone. And we were talking about Alex Winter, and we were talking about Freaked or whatever. That's really, really cool. All last year, we did a bunch of shows with him and Jamie Kennedy. And it was just so rad. And now my kids are starting to like figure out, like they're starting to like stuff like Scream. I'm like, that's the same guy from Son of the Mask. The other guy's Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, right? And they're just like, oh, you know what I mean? Oh my God. I'm like, that's why you like them. They've kind of been in your whole childhood. And, bringing them home and letting them meet these guys or get pictures of them that they say like your dad's the coolest and shit on their picture, and they're like, "What the fuck, Dad?" Like, yeah, that's funny. I bring you a gift, but it talks about how cool I am, right?
That's cool.
Do you ever do any Days of the Dead convention?
Isn't there a Chicago one?
So there's a Chicago and an Indy. They go all over the place, but yeah, Chicago's in November.
We might be at that one this year.
If I'll be at that one, just as like I'm going checking it out, that sort of stuff. I go to it every year. I'm going to Indy. I'm trying to go to Motor City Nightmare in Detroit this coming July. But Days of Dead Indy and Motor City Nightmares are both in July. So I'm gonna try and balance those. We'll see, but I'm definitely gonna be in Chicago in November.
Heck yeah! Well, this year the difference with our convention schedule. It's very different because we're doing the starting at the end of next month, at the end of July, we're starting our Cult of Blood tour, showing the film.
Awesome.
So I'm going around to a bunch of different states, and wherever we could show it, I'm bringing a projector. We're also showing it in theaters, but I'm not opposed to showing it.
Let us know if you come anywhere in Indiana.
We'll definitely come visit.
We'll help out, do whatever. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying we'll plan it if you guys could have a place together, because like I said, we'll bring it, not just bring the movie for a theater, but we'll bring a projector, everything. So it could be a warehouse party, it could be an art party, it could be at a concert venue in between. Not like two bands play, then we show a movie, and then two more bands play. Like we're not opposed to any type.
If we're throwing, if we were throwing in bands, we could probably swing that. We could probably swing something like that.
Cool. Well, yeah, we'll set up a tour date there too. But yeah, I just started thinking we need to take this around like a fucking band tours.
There you go.
Playing music for 25 years, having that mindset. I'm like, and not just to theaters. Like we could do those too. That's great. But I also want to be self-contained, so that way we could set it up, a little PA and little deal, and run our own venue too if we want, or whatever.
Very cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So I didn't go as heavy on the horror conventions because in preparation of being able to take that out for a couple months.
Totally makes sense.
But normally we're at the majority of them. Normally I start at the Midwest and we'll go all the way out to California and Florida, Texas. We hit a lot, but we do like the Kansas City, St. Louis, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Minneapolis, Denver, 3 different Texas ones.
Where do you normally go in Texas? I have huge ties to Texas. I used to live there.
Yep.
We'll do the Houston Horror Convention. We will do
that one's huge.
The Bastrop one.
Yeah. So I used to live in Austin. So the Bastrop one is very special to me. I went to the very first one, the Bastrop, and it's part of it is put on by the gas station, the Texas gas station.
So Lancer Dancer is a nice guy to us too. Lance Wagner.
Yeah.
Him and his wife, they're cool to us too. So
I talk to his wife all the time. She was showing me his personal collection.
I think
that man has so much stuff.
The Blood. I think they even backed Cult of Blood and a couple of our films or whatever.
I wouldn't be surprised. That's totally why I was asking, because I was like, man, I bet you the gas station's got to have a part of it.
Yeah. So anyone that supports us, I'm a big believer in breaking bread with people being an independent business owner, a couple times over. So it's not just ever coincidence, at the certain shows that we do, we're also like, hey, wait a minute, that person backed this. It's like, yeah, motherfucker, duh. Try to keep it like that. yeah, puts things on my radar. I mean, that's the way it should go, right? And that is fun being, because we stay in Austin every time we go to that show. We just do the 30-minute drive or whatever. Yeah. And we stay in Austin and we have a blast driving into it. And everyone's so sweet.
Yeah.
Good barbecue.
Yes.
Yeah,
oh, don't even get me started on that shit. I lived in Austin for 11 years, so yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know a lot of there.
Oh, yeah.
So
we would drive out there to play shows for like a week or two before it turned all touristy in like the late 90s, mid to late 90s. That was on our deal. We were all going to move out there, and then we noticed it was getting more and more popular. Geez, that was a good call, but I had no idea. Now I would say it's getting really popular.
Yeah, now it's just insane. And even back when I moved there in 2009.
Joe has the comedy club there now, and that's just insane. The whole comedy scene.
Yep, the mother house or the mothership. Yep.
So see, Uncle Laser, he's a regular there. He's a regular on Kill Tony. All right, you watch Kill Tony?
Well, I know people that know Uncle Laser. Yeah. He does the harmonica and shit.
That's cool.
Yeah. So you know the Nether Hour and all that. The band, the Nether Hour. Yeah. So we know a bunch of the same people. Anyway, so he's on Kill Tony. Tony Hinchcliffe's like stand-up show there with like Ron White, Joe Rogan, all these guys. You know, Joe.
So popular.
He is playing the DJ. Coming up next on the main stage, Bad Body Blondie. We're gonna have Bad Body for you. He's playing the DJ for our Zombie Sluts movie that we're in the middle of funding now. That we're gonna. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. He's gonna be the fucking rat dirtbag DJ.
Dude, that's a perfect casting for him. That's so spot on.
Get yourself up on the big black couches instead of sitting down here looking at these ugly men and these ladies are working for tips and tips alone. Yeah, having him acting all coked out as the DJ be hilarious.
That's awesome.
That's so fun.
So yeah, our future's looking good, man. I'm very, very happy and ambitious with it, and you know, just a little bit at a time. You got to shovel your own path, and you do that, you have integrity. It is the harder way to do it, but that path, once it's set, there's no going back on it because of the way you did it, you know? So I just keep telling myself those things. It's not a race. It's what you got when you get there. So we've been just chipping away the past 5-6 years, and we've grown a lot. And, you know, the most exciting time we have is this year and what's coming this year so far. So that's fucking cool, you know?
Yeah,
so that's awesome. Movies that haven't came out yet, like that are gonna knock everyone's dick off. Like it should be cool.
we'll definitely, leave links in our shit because you do have a bunch of stuff coming. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what happens. You get all jumbled around. We were talking about Born to Raise Hell. I said we started filming it in 2020, got it done September 2021, sold it like a month after getting it done. That's how I know, like, all right, taking our time. Hey, we sold it to a big studio. It didn't get released until April of last year of 2023.
Really?
So that's not now. That is nothing compared to what our films are like now, is what I'm trying to say. We've evolved so much from that. Yeah. That was a step up in quality from what we were doing back in 2019, because we were just doing a bunch of stuff that wasn't very serious. It was all fun stoner comedy, horror, cheesy stuff, you know, schlocky stuff. And that was our thing. And we have a lot of those followers. But we wanted to show like, hey, different moods, different stuff. We're into a lot of different feelings here. So Born to Raise Hell was, you know, our first one that we were trying to be like, production value is going to be as good as we can make it. And then all that fell out with the money, with the production and all that. But I was so stubborn and so far in, I was like, we've got to make this as good as we can make it. And even watching it now with all its flaws and stuff, like you can still tell that I at least held it to some type of level that we hadn't in the past. And man, it's like everyone since then, we're to the point now where I have not seen any other type of small indie studio as tiny as ours, like doing the type of quality movies that we've got coming out that are getting ready to come out.
That's so cool.
Legit. Maybe some Bollywood shit, like, because I mean,
Nice.
All right.
they really do go heavy on it, but it's that level of, a couple of these have that level of production in them that you just do not see with the independent horror movies, you know. Creativity and imagination. Ours are much more imaginative than gory, but there is a time and place for the gore. Like Zombie Sluts is going to be a literal exploitation, gory zombie. It's all about practical effects, body parts. That's the star of that movie. Is literally naked women and the grossest, craziest zombie gag kills is the star of that one. You know, that's kind of our.
Yeah.
You guys like Terrifier too? Let's do it. You know, so Josh Wiselink, insane special effects artist, one of my bros, and Oliver Poser. Both of those guys, they've worked on stuff from everything from, like, we're talking big studio movie effects, everything from Aquaman to Independence Day.
Wow.
To even like what was that? Air Sharks, about the Nazi shark.
Sharknado.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's like a Nazi
Oh.
Nazis flying on sharks and they're zombies.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I remember seeing it.
It's really gory. Well, it's really gory. Oliver did all that practical effects work with all the heads getting ripped off and shit. What the fuck is that one called? Sky Sharks or something? Anyway, they did a lot of, between the two of them, they've got 300, 400, 500 credits. They're doing effects with me, so I'm doing like a bunch of full body gags and effects and makeups, and so are they. And then one of the girls coming in from Scotland, that's one of the zombie strippers. She's also a effects makeup artist. Like, it's crazy. So we're gonna have like 5 or 6 makeup artists like making stuff for this and doing makeups and having some full body prosthetics, and
That's so
got
fun.
5 or 6 specific gags I'm doing. You know, we're like ripping the torsos apart and just different stuff. So it should be pretty cool. Grossest game of real life mousetrap with body parts ever.
That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, well, we definitely wanted to thank you for, taking the time out of your schedule to, talk with us, answer questions, and just kind of like get to know you. And definitely, to hear all the shit that you're doing, because let us know. We'll promote the shit out of that.
We will.
I will watch it. You had me hooked with Critters. Anyone that does anything with Critters, like, you're fucking cool with me no matter what. So.
Also, Drink Your Blood hat is really cool.
Yes. Double feature with I'll Eat Your Flesh. But heck yeah, guys. No, thank you so much. This is so much fun. I love it.
Awesome. We definitely appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. We're so excited to, share your films and everything coming up.
Heck yeah, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for your time.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. And with that being said,
look out for each other, and good night, cellar dwellers. Bye.
Later.
Perfect.
Yes, thank you.